Let's rewind the clocks back to last summer. A cheap car challenge, that seemed like a good idea. We first bought a Daihatsu Sirion Rally 2, which was broken, but then I made the bold choice to buy an Alfa Mito. However, much to my surprise, I was inundated with hundreds of messages from people saying that I've made a mistake. So, do you know what? I'm here to prove them wrong. Right after I fix this badge. The Alfa Mito was designed to bring a bit of creative flair to the very dull Super Mini sector. They came in a choice of a few rich, vibrant colours, which was a far cry from the German manufacturers. Since its launch in 2008, this three-door hatchback was up against the likes of Ford Fiestas, VW Polos and Vauxhall Corsas. All very pleasing cars, but none of them had the spark like the Mito. The Mito will always divide opinions. Whether you love it or hate it, there is no denying the second you see one of these cars drive past, you're bound to have a cheeky second glance just out of curiosity. And I feel that has something to do with the unique appearance. Take the Alfa Romeo 8C, one of the best looking supercars ever made, and you can clearly see where the Mito's taken some of that inspiration, whether it's the beautifully sculpted lights on the rear or even this quirky little grille on the front. I know this isn't exactly the prettiest example out there, but bear with me because later on in the video, I'm going to be giving this Alfa Mito an extreme makeover. So we're going to be making this look as good as new, and then we're going to take it one step further and give it away for free. But before we do any of that, I need to show you this pretty special interior because it's freezing cold. Now in the rear of the car, I do feel like I have plenty of room. And in fact, the other day I was sitting in the back of the car because, well, my 7-year-old son called shotgun. And I noticed it was quite a pleasant experience. There's lots of comfy padding on the seats. It was absorbing all those bumps quite nicely. So I can't tell whether it's because Alfa have amazing build quality or people are just too scared to sit in the back. The boot space is generous. You get plenty of space to throw everything in the back, but it is also very deep. So getting heavy objects out is difficult. And I've headbutted that parcel shelf countless times in the process. Moving on to the dashboard, and I feel that Alfa have really stepped up their game. Where else would you get such a lovely carbon effect dash? And it's got all these cool Italian words here. You've got one for fuel, one for water, another one for watch out, you're about to break down in the next 10 seconds. But other than that, I just think it's pretty unique. And dare I say it, if this car did break down, I think it would be perfectly placed in an art gallery because everything about it is just stunning. And another thing that's quite amusing about the Alfa is I honestly believe this is a sentient being, because I went to switch on the ignition and it was Christmas morning, everything lit up like a Christmas tree. How did the Alfa know that it was Christmas Day? I switch it on the day after and it's completely gone. It's pretty special. This car has a soul, it's got character flaws, and that's what gives it those human-like qualities. It's beautiful, but it's untrustworthy. But do you know what? I love it. Underneath the bonnet we have a 1.4 naturally aspirated engine, and it does produce a very modest 93 brake horsepower. 0 to 60 would take you around 10.9 seconds, which isn't really anything to get excited about. In the lower gears, admittedly, it does feel like the Alfa falls a little bit short because there's just lack of acceleration. But once you get it past third gear and you can really get going and build up some momentum, this becomes a cracking little car. Cracking indeed. However, just because it's an Alfa, a true petrol head still may want something a little bit quicker to get those petroleum juices flowing. However, to make up for the lack of excitement, they have this funky little switch down here called DNA, which gives you 3 different driving modes. So we're going to start off with A. Now this is for all weather. This is the kind of mode you want to be driving with scenarios like this. Little bit icy out there on the road. It started to thaw out this morning, and now the heavens have just decided to open, so it can pretty much cope with whatever the weather chucks at it. And then you have N for normal driving, which quite frankly does nothing different to A. Now this next mode is special, and when you hold it up into D, it goes into dynamic mode, or as I like to call it, Dave mode. Now, when you've got it in A and N, it doesn't really do much. You're never going to be able to tell the difference. However, as soon as you put it in D, you get a better throttle response, stiffer steering for the bends, and the car just wants to go. It's a complete transformation, and that's why I love it. And I don't know why, if anybody had one of these cars, you'd have it in any other mode. It's such good fun. Oh, puddle, big puddle, big puddle. This weather is atrocious. We got flooding everywhere, but the Alfa is just soldiering on. I love it. Dynamic mode for me is where it's at. How can you not love an Alfa? According to Alfa Romeo, the reason they stopped selling the Mito was because of the lack of demand in Europe for a 3-door hatchback. But I'm sure some of you are thinking there could be another reason. Okay, I think it's about time we talk about the elephant in the room, the reliability. Everybody will always bleat on about how unreliable Alfas are, but I have to say, this one in particular has been outstanding. I've had no problems whatsoever. I think the biggest thing that puts people off with the Alfas is everybody goes on about the electrics being terrible. Yes, that is very true, but the engine on these is actually pretty good. And here's an interesting fact for you, because the Alfa Mito is based on the same platform as the Fiat Grande Punto, the Fiat 500L, and the very popular Jeep Renegade. There is another slight problem with the Mito that may have hampered its sales, and that is the insurance cost. My model, the 1.4 Lusso, is in a Group 11, while a similar 1.4 Corsa SXI sits in a Group 6. So if you're after a cheap runaround, you may be better off browsing your local McDonald's car park instead. It amazes me how fun a slow car can be. Granted, it's not going to win any drag races with a milk float, but still, I really enjoy driving it, and I'm going to be quite sad to see it go. It's not just a car, it's a story. Flawed, yes, but full of character. Get a bad one and it will break down. Get a good one on the other hand, and it won't break your bank account. But selling one would definitely break your heart. As you can see, I've had a tidy up, so now it's the Mito's turn. Here's the plan of action. Before we even think about giving this car away for free, I want to give it the transformation of its life. We're talking the deepest of deep cleans, a proper machine polish, and then afterwards we're going to give it some protection. Thankfully, I got a detailing kit here to help me get the job done. So now all that's left for me to do is get out of these clothes, get in my car cleaning gear and get to work. On my other channel, Epic Automotive, I've already featured a full-length video on this clean, and I will put a link in the description below, as it's definitely worth a watch after this video's finished. But anyway, you didn't come here for the car cleaning, you came here for the finished results. Amazingly, the car is complete. I think it looks magnificent. So now all we need to do is go get Cheryl, and then we can hand over the keys and say goodbye to my beloved Mito. I'm gonna miss this car, I really am. Come in.
I almost don't want to. Oh my God. Wow. It looks a completely different car. You've done amazing. I don't want to drive it out. Oh my goodness. It looks brand new. I can see why you kind of don't want to part with it. I feel very lucky. Very, very lucky.
I loved it. It's just been such a decent car.
I'm just lost for words. I really am. I don't feel like I'm here. Like, you doing this for me is just amazing, honestly. You have no idea how
It's all
much I
good.
appreciate it. You really don't. I don't want to drive it out of here.
I know, it's going to get absolutely battered. I'll get it out the garage, it's fine.
Like, wow. I love it. I love it.
And so, my Alfa was gone.